Hello lovely viewers, and welcome to Adaptation, the ultimate blog for film adaptations and the original material they're based on. For those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Jennifer Dick, and for those of you who do, welcome back. This week we're going to shine the spotlight on yet another of our favorite authors, the magnificent Rick Riordan, renowned for playing on different mythologies around the world. And he doesn't just play with them. He twists them, turns them, and modernizes them in a snarky, endearing fashion that you simply can't get enough of. And it will be exactly these series that we focus on today, because there are several series by now, and more seem to be coming out of the woodwork at least once a year. So beginning with the one that started it all, I'm sure that the first name that popped into anyone's head when I say the name Rick Riordan is also Percy Jackson. Starting publication in 2005, Percy Jackson and the Olympians is a 5-book series set mainly at Camp Half-Blood in New York, a camp where demigods are trained to fight as heroes. That's right, demigods. Literal offspring of gods and goddesses from the Greek pantheon, but in a modern setting. And Percy Jackson is right smack dab in the middle of it all as the son of Poseidon. Now, these books travel all across the states and further, pulling in the best and brightest of the Greek myths and stories that we all know and love. And all the while, our demigod heroes are just trying to prevent the rise of Kronos and save the world. I mean, what else are demigods gonna do with their time? And following the literary success of Percy Jackson came the sequel series, The Heroes of Olympus, again composed of 5 books. Similar characters, in some cases exactly the same. Similar setting, but throwing in some Roman mythology into the mix this time. And you know, those Greeks and Romans don't really mix too well. But there are a whole slew of new characters in this series, on both sides. And through it all, they somehow have to work together to prevent Gaia from awakening. And, you know, save the world. Again. Because seriously, what else do demigods do with their time? Now, the next series is not actually next, chronologically speaking, if you're talking about publication. After all, books for the Trials of Apollo are still coming out. There is a clear segue from the Heroes of Olympus, especially considering that the Trials of Apollo is yet another sequel series incorporating a lot of the same Greco-Roman counterparts. Though this time there is quite a difference in that instead of following a bunch of demigods around, we're following the sun god himself, but in mortal form. Awkward. Mortal form. Cue the hilarity. And together with his allies, some familiar, some new, Apollo must rescue the oracles and save the world. Is it just me, or am I detecting a pattern here? Okay, now for a switch. The Kane Chronicles by Rick Riordan is not only a shorter series with only 3 books to its name, but also focuses on a completely different set of mythologies. While set in the same universe as Riordan's others, this series incorporates Egyptian mythology into the storytelling instead. Not to mention, the main characters aren't demigods, or even gods. Not really. Rather, they're magicians, descended from a powerful line of pharaohs, and they are the hosts for 2 pretty key Egyptian gods. While learning about their own powers, they also set out to thwart Apophis, the god of chaos, from rising. So again, they're out to save the world. Big surprise, I know. And last but not least, yet another mythology change here, though it is still set in the same universe as all the rest. We have the Magnus Cage series. Based on Norse mythology, Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard is yet another trilogy series, with the latest book just released this past October. In a departure from the norm, this book actually begins with the main character dying. That's right, Magnus dies. Immediately. In the tradition of great Norse heroes, though even he admits that title is debatable, he's brought to Valhalla, where the real fun can start. And in the tradition of Rick Riordan, he makes new friends, goes on pretty familiar adventures, and you guessed it, they have to save the world. That darn Loki. Now, all of these series share some pretty standard Rick Riordan trademarks. The first being, of course, the modernization of well-known mythology stories. Closely tied to this, but in my opinion no less important, is the distinctive humor that underlines nearly all of the retellings. An example? Circe runs a spa and turns men into guinea pigs rather than actual pigs. Oh, and need I even mention Apollo's affinity for haikus? Each book is refreshing and an absolute joy to read, and I sincerely hope he continues. Oh, with that final recommendation, we come to the end of my Rick Riordan fan fest, and I now open the floor up to you. Agree or disagree with what I've said? Let me know. Feel free to comment below or on any of our other social media sites, or check out some of our other mythology-laden podcasts on iTunes. Don't forget, we'll have yet another vlog to watch in a couple of weeks, and until then, whose characters would save the world?